What are the challenges and the opportunities that you face when you manage Dell's reputation on a global scale?
Yeah, I hear the emphasis on global, but let me give you a little bit of context of where Dell is today. So Dell has an incredibly strong heritage. We are defined by something very specific about related to our business model, the direct model, the innovations that Michael brought to the supply chain and really democratizing access to PCs. That's our history. That's not today. And the industry caught up to us after many, many years of a lot of growth. And today we are an end-to-end IT solutions provider. We believe very strongly that it matters, the device that's in your hand, but the connection to the data center and being able to carry that all the way through is what's going to define us for the future. And there are a lot of aspects of what Dell is today that aren't known. So we're still building our credibility in the enterprise. We have more than 40,000 services employees who are really on the ground consultants who are helping to build IT infrastructures on behalf of our clients and really creating that understanding, building our credibility and creating awareness for where the company is changing and transforming is the challenge that we face. And for us, that's started internally, as I think anyone would say it has to. We had a few fits and starts, I will say. So, we've been on this trajectory where the company has been very clear about what the growth strategy is and where we think it's going to take us in the future for about 3 years. In parallel with defining that growth strategy, we did a really hard internal look at our brand. Said, what does that brand mean and how can we use that and leverage it to carry us through this transformation that we're trying to go through as a business. There were some surprises along the way. First and foremost, we thought that because we're in the consumer business and we're growing and very big in the enterprise business, that we were different things to IT decision makers than we were to consumers. We really quickly learned that IT decision makers are sending their kids to college, they're reading the Sunday paper, and they think of Dell in one way. They think about us in terms of practicality, access, really being able to rely on technology to help them achieve what their goals are. It's not about the technology, it's about what they're trying to achieve. And that was a big aha moment for the company. And to really say, well, we can align behind that. And we're one of the few technology companies that's still run by our founder. And Michael came back, several years ago. And from the very beginning, he said, it's not about the technology, it's about the potential that we can unleash on behalf of our customers, whether it's individuals or organizations. And when we looked at that in a fresh light, it was more true than ever for us and has continued to be what really drives us in terms of purpose for helping organizations and companies and individuals achieve what they want to do with technology. And so for us, in terms of a challenge, first and foremost, it's getting an engagement with a workforce that started out, been there before. We've seen a lot of different changes. Getting that level of engagement, we're really proud of the work that we did. We saw the hardest group were our managers, and which I guess we should have known, but when you see it in the stark numbers that your managers are 20% off of everybody else in believing the company's best days ahead, it's a really strong wake-up call. And 3 years later, we're up to best in class, but when we saw those numbers early on, it was frightening. Since then, we've worked very, very hard to continue to define the company and to show the proof points of how everything that we do each day, both for our employees, for our external stakeholders, and for influencers, ladders up to what the company is going to be in the future as an end-to-end solutions provider. So, 8 to 10 acquisitions every year for the last few years, trying to diversify the portfolio, really strong presence in the data center today, and continuing to push and define that and build that credibility.
Generally, what are the greatest challenges facing public relations executives today, and how do you address these challenges?
I think for us at Dell, it's really about focus. There are so many opportunities, so many possibilities, and so many threats on a daily basis that really figuring out where we can have the biggest impact on the business and channeling our resources against those activities that's the biggest challenge for us. I think that what we've seen is just the proliferation of opportunities, and there's traditional media, there's online media, there's going directly to your customers, there's being able to create your own media channels and to really think about influencers in new and different and much more direct ways to one of the things that's really clear is our leaders have seen the power of communications with their employees. Figuring out how you do that in an organization of the size and scale of Dell, and to do it in a way that's still efficient and focused and can be really driven against to very specific results because we're a data-driven organization first and foremost. It all comes back to focus, and you have to keep enough room to experiment and learn along the way, but to make sure that we're focused on the right things. That's the hardest thing that we focus on.
Okay. I'm going to ask you something about you personally. Like,
Sure.
what's the biggest challenge that you faced during your career?
In my job today, the biggest challenge that I face, or the one that's evolving and on the horizon, I think, is demonstrating a tighter relationship between communications as an effective marketing tool and being able to show that in very measurable results. I think we're well beyond the place where people understand how important reputation is and how we're actively managing the reputation and reinforcing the overall corporate intent and where we're going from a growth strategy. I think the next level is sort of we're in a place now where the funnel doesn't matter. I said that in the conference today, or it just isn't relevant. You know, people are much more distributed in how they make choices, where they turn to for information. Communications has such a valuable contribution in that ecosystem, but being able to demonstrate that and have the skills to be able to demonstrate that in terms of an immediate ROI and explain how we play within that ecosystem, it's a hard question to answer. And I know a lot of people are trying to answer it, and certainly in an organization like ours that's heavily data driven, it's top of mind and we're getting there. But it's one of those areas that, for me personally, it's super challenging. Like, you know it's the right answer. Can I tell you exactly how I'm going to get there? Not yet, for sure.
Okay. What professional accomplishment are you most proud of?
I think, I've had the opportunity at least 3 times in my career to build a team from scratch or to have a major impact on transforming a team. And I'm proud to say that in several cases, people have followed team to team to team, and I'm grateful for that. But also just being in a place where you can see that sort of all the pieces come together and you can see people playing off of each other's strengths, and the way that gives an organization the opportunity to have greater influence within a company, to have a greater influence on the business and the direction, and for people to really see their own careers growing in that model. That's incredibly rewarding, and it makes it a whole lot of fun, for sure.